Hi all, welcome to this Premier League Player of the Month guide for January. Kind of fairly straightforward I feel in terms of who should win it, but obviously we've still got to kind of break it down anyway regardless. So if you could smash links would be awesome. Sub to the channel if you are new. Follow me on Twitter at @GIsALegend. All links are down below for playlist and channel and social media links as always. And for the impression I get with the vote being out today, the impression I get is that it will be out next Friday, or at least there or thereabouts. Now, in terms of the nominees, we've got Aguero, Jose Perez, Jordan Henderson, Alisson, Grealish, Decour and Stevens. Now, to highlight as well, there seems like, I would say, 3 standout candidates, but when you kind of still break them all down, they've all got a good shout fundamentally in the month, but I would say 3 kind of stand out for me in particular of Aguero, Henderson and Alisson. Now, Alisson, while he is a goalkeeper, goalkeepers rarely win the award. Now, he's only conceded 1 goal in the month. He's made 16 saves out of the 5 games played. Now, to only concede 1 goal out of 5 games in the month is no mean feat. That kind of just shows how impressively at the back Liverpool have played. And if Alisson as a player of the month was to drop, then could he be fairly cheap? That is the question. I would imagine he could be 1 route, and I wouldn't imagine him going 2. The reason why I wouldn't imagine him going 2 is because then it starts to get a little bit expensive. And unless they're going to do, like, say, 2 routes of a player at, say, 40k for each route. But fundamentally, a 91 Alisson isn't really a card that should be really that expensive in the first place. Like, his team of the year nominee is 120k, 120, 130k, depending on your console. They may do 260k routes, they may do 270ks or 250ks, who knows? I can't see them going drastically overboard for a route like an SBC that's going to cost a fortune. Like, that's the way I would look at it anyway. But obviously we're each their own in terms of how we think of how like SBCs kind of play out. Like, I'd imagine if they do 2 routes, one will be Brazil, one will be Premier League or Liverpool based, and like I wouldn't imagine you'll need any informs. It's just more a case of preparing for like 2 decent rated squads. So it could be like 284s or like 285, an 84, 85 or whatever. But as long as they're not going crazy, or they might just, as I said, go 1 route and it's like an 85, 1 inform, 1 Liverpool, 1 Premier League, and it's like, say, an 80, 75, 80 chem squad. You never know. But we'll see how they play it out. But Alisson for me is the one that I would at least keep an eye on, regardless. Henderson obviously his inform's like 25k, depending on your console, and like he for me is an 87 rated, isn't exactly going to be appealing, even with say 70 pace, 85 defending and physical. Like, yes, he would have 4 stats in the 80s and 2, like 1 over 75 I would imagine, and pace in the 70s. It still lacks a little. Yes, you could put Shadow or Anchor, but fundamentally his SBC should be no more than say 75k. And even then I would even say 75k with 4 packs, and like after packs I'd be hoping ideally 50k, but I can't see it. For Liverpool, I would imagine for Henderson as well, this could easily be 1 route, and it could be say 1 England, maybe say an 84 rated squad with an inform, and like say 1 Premier League. I wouldn't imagine I'm going too much more, but it should be fairly straightforward regardless. But a lot of folk do fancy Henderson's chances. 1 goal, 1 assist, and a very consistent match rating over the month, depending obviously who you kind of refer to. Like, I know a lot of people refer to like who scored and Sofa scored and other outlets, but like Premier League and BBC and Sky are, well, Sky usually is what a lot of people tend to try and rely on as well, just to give you an idea. Aguero, 6 goals, 1 assist in the 3 games, 92 rated card we would imagine he would be, and he is probably going to be a fortune if and when he does happen. Now, he's got 2 91s as it is. One's a record breaker, one's a scream, and to be honest, a 92 Aguero is probably quite stupid, because you've got to think about it. The Scream version is a million coins. The record breaker is about 500k. The biggest difference is you have more physical and more pace on the Scream card. So if they make Aguero 92 rated, then the problem is, where do you what do you kind of boost? Like, do you boost the pace like to 86, or do you boost the physical up to say 80? It's kind of tricky, but I would imagine Aguero's player of the month maybe costing around 500-600k, and it shouldn't be too difficult. Like Argentina Premier League, couple rated squads. It'll be 4 squads, I'd imagine, in total, maybe each route working out around the 120 to 150 mark, maybe even 180 at the very most, depending on how they kind of structure it. But I wouldn't imagine it would be too difficult or too complicated on SBC. Now, to also kind of touch on, usually Perez 3 goals, 1 assist from the 4 games. Grealish 2 goals over 4. Decour's 2 goals, 1 assist over the 4 games, and Dale Stephens is 4 tackles, 2 assists, funnily enough, in the month from 4 games. Clean sheet wise, not as say impressive for like say a Liverpool perspective in the month, but it's still respectable regardless in terms of how he's been playing. But I would say, sorry, not Dale Stephens, that's the Brighton player, or ex-Brighton player, Jack Stephens. I just read my notes again just to be sure. So, and to factor with Stephens as well, they played Crystal Palace, got a 2-0 victory, 3-2 defeat against Wolves, which may go against, then 2-1 win against Leicester, which was a big result, and then obviously the 1-0 victory against Tottenham. So 2 clean sheets, and then from there they've obviously had 2 other games since. But I wouldn't imagine Stephens would win it, and even then he'd be very, very cheap and very unappealing, I would be honest. Decour as an 87 would be very impressive. Jose Perez as an 87 would be quite neat. Same for Grealish. But Grealish obviously isn't going to exactly stand out as appealing to like a Sterling. Jose Perez, while he's been playing mostly right mid, I don't think would stand out too much. But a CDM centre mid version of Decour, I'm sure would appeal a few folk. So to kind of round everything up, in terms of the player of the month, my vote goes to Alisson, despite Aguero's impressive form over the 3 games. The reason being is because of only 1 goal conceded, and for me, Liverpool, well, yes, they've had the extra game because of the West Ham one. They've still been very, very impressive over the entire month, and they've been very kind of like he's had to make some big saves in some of the games, and I feel like you're not necessarily always expecting a forward to win it. And like, yes, Aguero's broke the record. I would still say it's very difficult to kind of go against like Aguero or Alisson, because you've got to remember Liverpool have played West Ham, Wolves, Man United, Tottenham and Sheffield United all in the league. So we'll see how it plays out. Like, for me, if Alisson happens, I'd actually probably go for it. But it would all come, as I said, it all comes down to the cost for Alisson. Henderson I wouldn't really jump on. Aguero, I would say, sadly, is going to be the most likely winner. But we've got to at least be wishful thinking at least. I think every year Aguero always wins, but this, as we said, could be finally the time that a goalkeeper finally wins the Player of the Month in FIFA. And we could all, I think, if they make it, as long as they make it appealing, we'd all jump on it. But we'll see how it plays out, folks. So we get there in the end. Let me know in the comments down below who you would like for the Player of the Month out of the 7 nominees. And as I said, if there's anyone in particular stands out, but you can also comment down below like what your price expectations are in relation to mine, and would you basically go for it if depending on who wins the Player of the Month, because you also got to remember the pack return is most likely going to be awful even for Aguero. But we'll wrap it up there, folks. Remember to smash the like, sub to the channel if you're new, follow me on Twitter at GsLegend. Take it easy all, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all later.